Hey, my friend, today we're talking seed inventory because, yes, that's the first step you should check before you go on and order all of those seeds out of those seed catalogs, right? What's really important is to understand how many seeds you have left for planning next year's garden, but also how old are those seeds because that has a strong implication on how well they are going to germinate for next year if you are going to plant those. So that's really the key item of, or the key purpose of going through your inventory and really check what are those seeds which are older and which are the seeds which are still fresh and which you have. So I'm walking you through my process of how I store my seed and how I go through the different reviews and steps. And I also tell you a few items where I learned that those seed viability duration times are not necessarily applicable, or sometimes you got to experiment with it. So we'll talk all through that. So let's get started. How do I store my seeds typically? So I have for my seeds usually those seed containers, or they're not seed containers, I call them seed containers, but theoretically they are photo storage boxes. You can Google them on Amazon. I have a link also in the description. But they are really, really great because they come with those little pouches. And those are really great. They fit the seed packages very well. Yes, I'm that type A person who labels all of those boxes. So it's really, really great to organize those ones and to get them out of the box when you need them. So it's really a great way. And yes, I have more than one. I have maybe three. I have one for vegetables, I have one for flowers, and one we will see when we're a little further down the line of our planning series here. But I have one which has exactly the dates on when they need to be seeded. So when a seed starting time comes, I just grab one little container here with all of the seed packages which I want to start the seedlings or start sowing those seeds in that particular week. But let's not get ahead of us. We want to take inventory first. But just to keep it real, so this is the organized version of how I like to store my seeds. But what I do under the year when I just plant some seeds or buy some seeds, I literally just throw them here into the bag. Yes, that's my confession for today. It's just practical. I'm not turning that upside down. That would be bad, but it's a it's a bag with a lot of stuff in it. Um, Seeds I've used, seeds I've bought, and all of that. So typically around this time of the year, so after the holidays, I start going through the bag, looking at the seeds and really go through them one by one to really determine what do I have still. I'll look into each bag to really understand how many seeds I have left. And what I typically do then is to sort the ones out which are either not enough seeds anymore to really have success with it. Like, I don't know, if I have two seeds left of a variety, I'm not sure if I will bother with it. So, but please be your own judge for that, right? So that's a very personal decision. What is more important to go through is to look through how old those seeds are, because there are seeds which are dropping in germination very, very drastically after the first year. The most common ones are, for example, onion seeds. So onion seeds are supposedly only germinating proper in the first year when you buy them. I gotta say, I wanted to test that last year or in this garden year. So when I started last time, my seed starting, and what I ended up with to basically take those 2022 seeds, so they were more than a year old, and dump them into one cell to see how many still germinated. And I had great success with those ones too. So take those seed viability recommendations with a grain of salt, or in your case, test and try out if you have the space and the time and the resources to do so, to just compare them to newly bought seeds and see how they still perform. I know now moving forward, I don't necessarily need to dump the onion seeds I like to buy, and I like to plant each year out. So I have a little bit over for the next year as well. And in case you're wondering what the recommended seed viability recommendations are for the different type of plants, I have linked from High Mowing Seeds their seed viability chart in the description below, which is really a great reference just to see how many years the seed can be old to be still viable and grow for you. The other thing which you need to consider is, or which you need to keep in mind, is pelleted seed. Pelleted seed is like those seeds which are coated with a specific coating to make typically teeny tiny seeds a little bit bigger or easier to grab and to sow for that reason. But those pelleted seeds are notoriously poor in germination once they are a year and plus older. You might get away with a year of it. I gotta say, so this year, after I harvested my potatoes, I always love to grow my Thanksgiving carrots in the same grow bags when I refill the soil and prep it up with a little bit of compost and fertilizer again. Works usually perfectly for my carrot seeds. I love to use pelleted seeds in those seed bags because then I can just space them better and don't have to thin them after, right? Work smarter, not harder. So what I did was I had 3 bags where I had still some pelleted seed left over from last year. Same provider, same variety because it's my favorite carrot variety, the Macomb variety from Johnny Seeds, in case you're wondering. And those 3 bags didn't perform well. I think I had like 1 or 2 carrots out of each bag. So with those carrot seeds, I will definitely get new one. Luckily, I used up all of my seeds this summer, so I am getting new ones anyway. But that is something what you got to keep in mind when you buy pelleted seed. Make sure you think about how long the seed or how much seeds you need for the entire garden year and not overbuy, because that would be just a waste of money when the pelleted seeds fall out of the picture and don't germinate well next year. What I typically do is I record all my varieties and all my seed packages, which I have in the Notion app. The Notion app, you can think of it as like a kind of fancy database app or like a little bit advanced Excel app, because you have like different pages and they all link together. Sounds more complicated than it is. It's really, really cool because it has more features than, for example, an Excel list. One of that, for example, is to have a gallery, because each seed record I have recorded with the pictures. So when I flip to the gallery mode, I can really scroll beautifully through all of my varieties I have. I love this, especially for the flowers, to just see the colors of the varieties, because the name doesn't always tell you exactly what the color, for example, is. Of course, you could record the color, but I think that's just a little bit more pretty, right? But for the purpose of the inventory today, I typically just work with the default view and go through what I have in the list recorded. And you can see here the seed status column. This is really where I put the seeds in and how many I have left. It's just like giving it like an almost empty or an empty, or how many seeds there are. You wouldn't believe how often I ordered seeds and made a seed plan and then recognized, shoot, that dang seed package has only 10 seeds in it or something, or some sort of a specialty seed package. So pay attention when you buy your seeds on how many seeds are in a package. For the upcoming year, I want to grow my own geraniums only for our like pretty deck planters and stuff that worked out so well this year. I want to basically double down on it and do all the containers with the homegrown varieties. But where I get my seeds from, there are literally only 10 seeds per package. So I was like, oh, I need a lot. So keep that in mind when you do that and in your seed planning. But to have this recorded is a great first step to really understand how many you have left. And no, I don't count the seeds. It's always just like a rough estimate of how many there are, and then I just go through them. I always have the really bad habit of, like, whenever a seed package is empty, I just take them and like fold them in half. So for example, what we have here, the status midnight blue. You can also search here very quickly. That makes it easier. Oh, status, the midnight blue here. It said already almost empty, and now it's empty, right? So I'm just taking this one out and off we go. And this is how I work through the entire seed stash. That's the apricot shade. They are empty as well. Got to order a few of those. And this really helps to get a good overview of what you have. You can filter for it. You know what's empty and what you might want to grow for the upcoming garden year again, so that it's really, really helpful to be structured and organized in that regard. And this is really the last step to then merge into the fun part, which we'll capture in the next video, to make the garden plan for 2024. So what are we growing? How many plants we are growing? And yeah, just dreaming all the 2024 garden up. So I'm super excited for that. That video will come up probably next week, and or maybe in 2 weeks. I'm not fully sure yet, but that will be definitely the next video. And yeah, I'm really curious to hear how you are tracking your seed inventory, what you use. I know a lot of people use Excel or just some handwritten notes. I'm a tech nerd, so I love my technology in that regard. Notion is a really, really great case. And let me know if you have any questions regarding it in the comments. And as per usual, I would love to get your thumbs up for the video. This helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And otherwise, subscribe and watch another video. Thank you.